everybody.
Hello, good evening.
Yeah, it's evening. It feels like
It is
it's
evening.
early.
It's 5:30, but it's good.
It's okay.
It's good.
So I'm super excited. I am here with Lisa Joy Walters. Lisa is an intuitive. She's first of all, she's like a ball of sunshine. But outside of her, you really are.
I'll take that, Monet. Rock
You
on,
really
sister.
are. She's like one of the most amazing lights to be around.
Oh,
She's
thank
so
you.
radiant. I know.
Thanks.
I can't help
Thanks.
myself.
Yay.
But I'll tell you a bit about her and why I'm so excited to talk to her today. She's such an inspiration. She is an intuitive special educator, an author, and we are going to talk a little bit about her book. And she is also the host of an online Facebook support group that is packed with inspiration called A Widow Walking Forward.
Yes, that is
right?
correct,
Which
Monet.
is, I am
Yes.
really, I have to tell you, I'm so excited to hear more about that because,
Okay.
you know, I'm not a widow, but I remember when I lost my mom,
Okay.
how I thought about when you're a spouse,
Okay.
that's the person you chose to be with.
Exactly.
You made that decision to be
Exactly.
with a person. For me, it
Exactly.
was like my mom, and then I had my own family, and it was
Right.
easier to move on.
Right.
So can you talk to us about what inspired you to create A Widow Walking
Okay,
Forward and
yeah.
what it is exactly? Because I think it's a resource that a lot of our viewers could really benefit from, or they know someone who can.
Okay, so Widow Walking Forward started last June. My husband had passed 3 years ago, and what I decided to do was to help others as I was realizing that I was moving forward, and that it's so important that to move through grief. But you can have grief and joy at the same time, and that's why I started it. And really, it's a page of motivation, inspiration, and I'd like to say love, because it comes right from my core, because I feel that it's so important for us to move through it with strength and care, and I'd like to say devotion, because we're missing someone, but we can still live our life. And it was really an emotional, of course, a challenge for me to move through these last 3 years. But if I didn't do spiritual psychotherapy, which I've done, I don't know where I would be at this juncture. I have the strength, yet it's been so helpful for me to understand myself and move.
So it's that leads into, I know something we were talking about before, you know, we went live.
Okay.
Was your intuitive sense and
Yes.
how developing your intuition
Yes.
has really helped you with this going forward process. And
Yes.
I want to hear more about that. I do want to say though, before you mention that, because I don't want to lose my train of
Okay,
thought,
keep going.
about something that you mentioned. First, guys, I want you to know, sitting next to her, all of those things that she's saying, I can feel the passion that you have for really wanting to help and support people
Yes.
radiate off of you. And I think one of the reasons why I was so driven to reach out to you for this, or led to reach out to you for this interview,
Okay.
is because what you have to offer through A Widow Walking Forward, I think, is such a huge need, because I think there's so much guilt and insecurity and uncertainty surrounding.
Almost a feeling
people.
like you can't move on after someone passes.
Right.
Like, how can I actually go out to the movies? How can I go to a show? How can I sit here and do an interview? Like, how can I when he's not here? Well, I believe for me, God has a purpose for me, and it's for me to keep moving, and that's what I want to share with everyone else. That it's just, you just gotta pick yourself up almost by your bootstrings and keep moving.
And it sounds like having a Facebook community right now, you inspire one another, and you host that, so you really do lead that inspirational movement. But because you're developing a community, it's like a support.
Yes,
Really a network of support, because I'm sure there are good days and bad days that people have. Or
like for me, I would say yes. I mean, there could be a morning where I wake up and I go, oh goodness, where's my husband? And right, he's not right next to me. But it's to know that you put one foot in front of the other and you move. and you move forward. Because
Widow walking forward.
Widow walking forward.
Which is such a great.
I know, and I can't seem to not stop saying the word forward. And for me also, it was very cathartic for myself to start it, because it's helped me even more understand where I was and where I am, and to stay present and in the moment.
And you've developed a really strong following in a pretty short period of time.
I did,
Right,
and which
that's
I
not a
totally
surprise,
love.
because she's a boss, right? So.
Even when I'm not doing the lives, which is very interesting that you asked me to do a Thursday at 5:30, because I've been doing Thursdays for the last 12 weeks. Yes,
Really?
yeah. I knew you didn't know that. Yeah,
No, I didn't know that.
So what I've been doing was Thursdays at 5:30.
That's
5:30,
amazing.
6 o'clock.
Around
Yeah.
this exact time?
Exactly.
That's crazy.
So energetically, it totally matches.
Totally.
So
Oh my
really
gosh,
cool.
that gives me chills.
So really
Well,
cool.
Speaking of like that energetically things matching and being in sync, that brings me back around to what I was beginning to ask you and
Okay.
you touched upon was you were talking to me about how developing your personal intuition has really helped you with this moving forward process. And I was
Yes.
wondering if you could share a little bit about that with our viewers and shed a little bit more light on what that means and
Okay.
why you think that that's something that's important for people to consider developing when they aren't getting over or moving through the grieving process when it comes to losing somebody that you know,
Okay.
they chose for a partnership or any loss.
Yeah, so any loss. So it is an intuitive, helping to find your intuitive sense is really getting to know you. And then as you get to know you and you can clear out negative thoughts, faulty thoughts, feelings of fear, anxiety, you remove those, and then you have a clear sense of yourself, and then you can receive your own answers. And that's what I've been working on for the last 11 years, through, I would like to say, my best friend, but also my mentor and also my therapist, Dr. Christine Melenda. And as I've done
And
this...
we've had, I hate to
Yes.
interrupt you, we've had her, we just did a flash interview
Yeah,
with Dr.
you don't have to
Christine.
interrupt. Don't hate
So I want
to
you
interrupt
guys,
on that
you
note.
guys, it's,
Yeah.
because it's true. So
Okay.
like, it's just so, you know, that you mentioned that, guys. So I will, if you guys check it out, we did do a recent flash interview with Dr. Christine Melenda, and she does, you know, do a lot
Yes.
of really amazing teaching. So you guys can check that out. But I wanted to hear more about your intuitive
So for
development.
me, the intuitive development started approximately 11 years ago. And in truth, Monet, when my husband was ill, and as he was ill and as he was going through chemo, because he did have cancer, and as he was in in MICU, in medical ICU, because I developed my intuition, I was able to hear my husband when he was intubated. And it gave us the opportunity, as I could intuitively hear him say to me, please take out the, and you know, as it is, would be the, what is it
The
called?
ET tube?
Yes.
Yeah.
And as they took
So that's the breathing
the
tube.
breathing tube, which, thank you, because not someone that understands all of that, but what I did know was that when I got really, really quiet, I heard him say to me, can you please take it out? And that's what I feel so passionate about, to understand yourself and do this work and have intuitive skills, because that gave me the opportunity to tell the doctor, please take it out. And the doctor looked at me like,
Do you know
"But
what that means?
do you know what that means? He could pass tonight." And I said, and as I had Dr. Christine on one side of me, and I had my sister-in-law who's an ER nurse, both of them saying to me, what's happening? Because I got really quiet. And I said, I hear Doug. We took it out because of my intuition, because of the clearing of my own faulty thoughts, and fear and anxiety and worry. I was able to hear him. when nobody else
His
could.
truth.
His truth.
Instead of letting your own thoughts
Exactly.
and ideas and perceptions of what things
Exactly.
should be take over, you were able
Exactly.
to slow down and take in the truth of the moment and experience his
Exactly.
desire. Okay.
Exactly. And when he woke up, he said to me,
He woke up, so he...
exactly. Oh, goodness. All right, Monet. So where were we? Okay.
You were just about to tell us about, you said that you had Dr. Christina on one side and you had your sister-in-law who
Yes.
was the ER nurse on the
Yes,
other side.
that is correct.
And they were like, what's going on here? And it was just after you decided to extubate or take away the breathing tube from your husband.
Right. So basically the doctor looked at me and said, you know what you're doing, he could pass tonight. And I said, I understand. I said, but this is between my husband Doug, God, and his soul. I said, so I'm sharing with you. I understand where you're coming from as a physician, but I'm choosing to remove it tonight. I don't know. And then he said, I don't know if we could do it tonight. We don't have enough people. I said, I feel you do. Because I really feel like he was like, you need to leave that in. And, but I needed to make an executive decision. And truthfully, before we took it out, we all said we didn't know. And we were all in his room and we were saying everything that we loved over the years. And my sons were in the room and we were talking about even things like the TV show The Office, because that was one of his favorite shows with my sons. So we took it out the next morning. Doug opened his eyes. He had a tear. And he looked at me and he said, thank you. I know you heard me.
Wow, that gives me chills.
And I did. And I looked at him and I said, okay, what's the next step? And he's like, I don't want any of this. Palliative care came in, and at that point we made a decision that we won't be, no more chemo, no nothing. But because we did that, we took it out, Doug had 5 more weeks.
Wow.
In hospice.
Wow.
He had 5 more weeks with family. He had 5 more weeks of talking with his sons.
Actually being able to use his voice, which
Exactly.
he couldn't have done if
he had a lot more words.
Yeah.
And boy, I tell you, he was a quiet man, but those 5 weeks, he got everything in. Everything in. Wow. So that's why I come on really with you and Widow Walking Forward is to share with you that when you develop your inner sense, when you develop your intuitive skills, there are decisions that you can make that you don't have to ask anybody else because it comes to you.
Know.
Yes.
You've had that true inner knowing.
It's a knowing.
Now, something that I find really interesting that really just came up for me that I wasn't really thinking about when we started talking about this.
Okay.
But I really feel like it's important for our viewers to maybe take into consideration is you talking about intuition. And, you know, right now we're talking a lot about loss and the way that you were able to use your intuition with loss. But I really admire your ability and your dedication to doing that, because to be able to choose, to choose, it's challenging. I know, because I do that work too. It is very challenging, I believe, to face these fears or anxieties that, you know, although we don't like them, they've protected us for so long.
Right.
And, you know, although we don't like them, they're comfortable.
Right.
And the stuff that they're covering up is ugly sometimes and really uncomfortable.
Exactly.
It's hard. It's not easy.
Exactly. And when you do this, and I still work on myself. Once a week, hour sessions, just so that I can continue to clear out. Because I was a woman many years ago, at least 12, riddled with a lot of anxiety.
And I couldn't even, I mean, honestly, you don't even.
And now, let me hear that, Monet. Yes!
At all.
That means means
Like,
that the work
it's working.
is working.
The work is working.
Yeah.
And what's so amazing to me about that, and what I feel like our viewers can take away,
Okay.
because there might be some viewers that we have who have, many people who have experienced loss in some way, in human form, right? Like,
Right.
so it's not necessarily,
and for my page, it's very interesting.
yeah,
That it's not only widows. So on a daily basis, I will give an inspirational message, and I have many people that have lost, parents,
or
yeah. So and children and friends and cousins, and so it goes to everyone.
yeah, and that's,
Yeah.
and your inspiration is being a widow, but I love that you're so open to understanding that your message isn't so exclusive.
Exactly,
You have
exactly.
a pinnacle space because that's where you're coming from.
Exactly.
But it's
exactly.
not, yeah, it's not an exclusive support network.
Right.
And something that you talked about with your intuition. So just going back to mentioning how
Okay.
inspiring it is that you really took that time to work on yourself, and it's working.
Yes.
And you have children. So,
I do.
Lisa Joy is,
2 sons.
yeah, she's a dynamic mom herself.
2 sons, and they are 19 and 23.
So when you started doing this work, they were adolescents.
They actually, my younger son was about 8. He was about 7 or 8, and I'll share with you that they both are doing the same work. And
That's great.
And as they're both doing the same work, but the cool thing is that I started before a major
Right.
transition happened in my life. So it gave me the ability to stand. And that's important as a mom, that I was
Mm-hmm.
showing my sons, we are in this transition right now, but we're going to move through this transition.
You were prepared.
Exactly.
And it's you
and
have
that's being a dynamic mom.
that's what I'm saying. And that's the message. Yep.
Yes, it's
That's the message I want to hit home.
Okay,
is
okay.
You took the time for self-care before self-care was at its dire requirement, right? Like, you had anxiety
Yes,
and
exactly.
you were feeling uncomfortable, but you had not hit this point in your life where you had such a tragedy occur.
No, I didn't. My
No.
life was humming along very nicely. 2 sons,
Everything was pretty
husband,
okay, and
career. Yeah.
that's the message that I want people to take away, is that oftentimes we wait, especially as mothers, because we sometimes mistake our priorities, and we let self-care go. And we do that because we think that, we're putting other people before us, and we have kind of this, people have this sort of sacrificial mindset that,
Right.
but really it's like that message about the airline, right? Like, you have to put mask on yourself so you can save somebody else.
Exactly.
If you're not putting
So if
oxygen
I
on your
wasn't
face,
doing that,
you wouldn't have been able to have that clarity. And what that brings me to also is, let's say you're a mom watching this and you didn't necessarily experience a loss. Something that I really think could benefit you, that you could take away from what Lisa is saying, is that your intuition helped you to get clarity with someone else, because you were able to drop the drama, right? As I know Dr. Christine says.
Exactly.
And you were able to
Exactly.
drop the drama.
Drama
and
was to the
connect.
side.
It was to the side.
It was to
And
the side.
as moms, how many times have you had your baby, I don't care how old your kids are now, but your baby couldn't express themselves, and if you really think about it, there were times when you knew what they needed. That was intuition. You may not have been able to hear their
Exactly.
voice, but you knew. Everybody was saying to you, oh, he's hungry, and no, you knew there was something else going on.
Right.
And you tried this other thing, and that was the answer.
Exactly.
And that's your intuition. So I feel like as mothers, we have the privilege of almost naturally having that.
And on the flip side, right, on the same note, not the flip side, the same note, is we have this, but how can we fine tune it? Mm-hmm. And that's what I feel like I've been doing for the last 11 years, is actually just digging and getting to such clarity that you get your own answers. And that's a really cool thing. For us sitting here right now, it was getting answers because you wouldn't have seen me here. And if I hadn't done the work, I wouldn't have ever started Widow Walking Forward.
Which has, like we said in the beginning, helped
Right.
already. You've grown such a strong network.
Yeah.
And I could honestly talk to you for a really long time, but we
Okay.
have to be
Oh, we have to end this?
No,
Oh, come
so
on.
we're not going to end yet
Okay.
because I want to make
Okay.
sure that we give, and we're going to have you back
Okay.
because I want to talk a little bit more with Lisa Joy about
Rock
your.
on.
Yeah, I'm really excited because I want to hear more about, if you look at the title and how I introduced her, she is also an intuitive special educator. So I want to
That is
really
correct.
pick your brains a little bit more about that. in
Oh,
a different.
I can't wait.
That's going to be fun, right?
Yeah.
But I do want to mention to you guys, so this is her book. And it is Forever with Love and Smiles. And it says inspiration and comfort for every age.
Yes.
And do you want to tell us a little bit about what this book is and how people, if they want to experience reading this book, how they could get
Okay,
their
you
hands
could
on
go
it?
on Amazon because it's on Amazon. And it is inspirational passages for adults and children. And it's when I started meditating, I was able to get real clarity and hear really beautiful words. And so I compiled it all together in a book, and that's it.
And
It's
you know what I am like so drawn to do right now, you guys?
what?
I'm going to read like a quick excerpt and see what we open up to.
Oh,
And here I opened up to 2, and they're brief, so I'm going to read them to you. And this is from Us to You, written by Lisa Joy. The first poem is called I Love You, and it says, have you taken the time today to truly say I love you? If not, why not? Is there a misguided fear within you? A fear that proclaims saying I love you? Too much is too open for our hearts. Take the time today to say I love you to a loved one, or perhaps to yourself. Loving yourself will be the best gift you can receive on Valentine's Day. For when you radiate love, the universe responds tenfold. You are a treasure. You are a beautiful, worthy spirit. Forever with love and smiles. Lisa Joy.
ooh.
So that's a message for you guys.
Thanks for reading that, Monet. I really didn't know that she was going to read it. So
Yeah,
it's
she
kinda
did
cool.
it. This
I
was
had
like,
no
I just
idea.
kind of felt like,
So-
why not open it to an excerpt? And then the next one is Treasure Chest, and I'll read that because it's only 3 lines, and it's right next to it. And it says, to explain your soul would be to explain your love. For the goodness that is evoked from your core, this, my dear children, is your abundance in God. And I hope that all of you feel your abundance and worthiness. And that's what we really want to communicate with here at with Dynamic Moms, is how really truly valuable you are in all of who you are, in your motherhood, your womanhood, whatever services that you offer or inspire, whether or not you're a mom who owns her own business or a mother who, stays at home. Real stay-at-homes don't stay at home.
No.
Right? You're running around, right? So, whatever.
Really hard work.
Yeah, it's really challenging work. Whatever it is that you're called to offer, it's valuable, and we want you to know that. So I want to say thank you so much, Lisa
Monet.
Joy. You were
Thank
just
you.
a ball of sunshine.
Thank
It's
you.
just nice sitting next
What a pleasure.
to you.
Excellent.
Yeah, and I hope
This
you
was
guys.
fun.
It was right. So
Yeah,
we're gonna
really
have you
cool.
back.
Yeah.
Totally.
Excellent.
All right, you guys. Have a good night.
Rock on.
Bye.
Peace out.